up, YouTube? Topaz Yates back for another album review, and this one is that Joey Badass, All-American Badass, and I'm giving this one the green light, man, because it is solid. Like, honestly, the best thing to come from this is it just shows people in general that even though he has a core message that he's trying to tell us here, as this album is ultimately a socially conscious album, he is still lyrical with it. He's still delivering really good bars all the way through this joint, man. He honestly got some quality songs as well. He's not allowing the overall concept and the messages that he has in these individual songs to take away from the fact that he needs to make quality songs. And this is something that very few people can do. Therefore, this is one you probably gonna have to go out and buy. But yet, I already have reviewed 3 songs off of this project already in Devastated, Land of the Free, and Rockabye Baby. So if you want the full understanding of this album, you're gonna have to go ahead and peep out those individual reviews as well. But let's start from the beginning with Good Morning America, where this is pretty much his opening statements. This is Joey Badass setting the tone for this album, pretty much asking, okay, what does it mean to be free in America as a black man? In which we all should honestly know that when it means you're not free at all. And the way he delivers this with punchlines just shows us how good of an artist he actually is, as he starts to talk about the black community in this song, talking about how most of these dudes out here are still asleep, saying how you need to wake up and smell the coffee, but yet you put your nose in all the wrong places, and this is why you OD. Pretty much saying you smell the coffee or you smelling cocaine. That was pretty dope. Also, how he's saying that America will massage his back, but then end up doing him like Geronimo Pratt. That was pretty dope, because those who don't know who Geronimo Pratt was, he was part of the Black Panther Party, man, in which they set him up for murders that he didn't do. This is ultimately him saying that no matter how rich he is, no matter how much America props him up and such, he's still a victim of white supremacy like the rest of us and such, dude. He can very easily lose it all. Now, the second song, For My People, was another song that I really liked off of him, man, where he's drawing references to superheroes and looking at his lyrical skills and stuff as applying himself to being a superhero, pretty much taking these skills and all of that to do good for his family and his people. Like, I really enjoyed that. I really love Temptation, because in the first verse, what he's ultimately doing is looking at the black community again, man, and looking at a huge portion of us, man, who just love to complain, but yet they honestly won't do anything at all to get us out from under the situations that we are all in right now, dude. And we see this all too often. And then he also says that a lot of us are slaves to our religion and such, and that is 100% true. And I addressed this not that long ago, as one of my subscribers tried to tell me that as black people, all we need to do is pray to God and everything's gonna be alright. And I was like, nah, that is not how this works. Because here's just the reality, man. Black people have been the most prayingest people of all time in all of the known world and all of that, dude. So if you're telling me that by now we're not saved and such, man, just based off of praying, then that obviously isn't the thing that's going to work. See, we are going to have to fight for ours, and any religion that tells you you have to die before you can see the fruits of your labors like all of these white people are getting right now on this earth and such, man, then it shows you that there's an element of control that was written into it. While in the second verse, Joey Badass goes into how we are painted as villains within the media and all of that, and they'll never tell us that, okay, it was through the policies that they created that put us in these particular environments that forces the people who want to come up and do anything with their lives to go to the streets. Then I really like that track, Why You Don't Love Me, man, where he's using a bunch of questions to show us how we are discriminated against and how we are ultimately criminalized here in America and stuff, man. That was a very dope concept there. And from that point, man, there was a good selection of songs that were cool, like they all had their moments, but ultimately they weren't phenomenal tracks that I would continuously rock with. Starting with that Ring the Alarm joint, man, where it's all just people spitting on their dude. And I will say there was some moments on it, like when Joey Badass said, "No beef can hurt me, I stay on my Istanbul." Now everybody is cold turkey. Now what makes that dope is it's more of a double entendre, as he said, where Istanbul is a spot in Turkey. But he set it up by saying beef and then emphasizing bull, like pretty much making a wordplay on beef in Turkey, in which that was pretty solid. And there's some bars throughout that joint, but yet as it being that New York grimy lyrical version of a song that they tried to do here, it really fell off a bit flat. Super Predator was a bit interesting with Styles P on there. Like, I really liked the concept of what they tried to do, but it ultimately just didn't come out together. And in order to break this song down, you first gotta understand what a Super Predator predator is, and you all should know what a super predator is. This is the terminology that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton put on black youth and all of that, man. One of the key reasons why no black person should have ever voted for Hillary Clinton to begin with. So understanding that, man, you can break down Joey Badass's bars and such, man, where in his first verse he's ultimately talking about how spiritually connected his lyricism and such is, man. And then in the second verse he's drawing comparisons to hot and cold, that even though this world is so cold and stuff, he's boiling hot. He is ultimately expressing throughout his success and everything that he is exactly what they was talking about as a super predator. A black man who's super good at what he does that threatens the entire system and such. Styles P follows suit with his social political balls, and he said something that was pretty interesting as well, saying how he got a mask on but he's not anonymous. That was a double entendre right there, because if you're gonna have a mask on, you're pretty much assumed to be anonymous. People shouldn't know who's underneath the mask, but yet he's also talking about Anonymous, the hacktivist group and all that, and how they got the little mask and stuff as well. And even though the production was pretty solid there by Static Selector, man, I feel as though it just didn't come together to being the great song that it should have been. Babylon follows suit as well, because you got to break down what exactly is Babylon. It is a city from way back in the day and such, man. It was known for being super wealthy but also super corrupt, while this song kind of touches on the Judaism Exile, I believe it was called. But this is another song where Joey Badass has this concept, but yet he's going in lyrically where he's ultimately saying things like, oh, in these days America's just hanging us by different trees, branches of government, and he can name all three. Now that was dope, because he's talking about modern day lynching is through the criminal justice system instead of just hanging somebody from the tree. Legendary featuring J. Cole is another song that could have been great, but it honestly fell short, man. Like, even though nothing about it was really that bad, it just didn't come together. With Joey Badass is ultimately rapping about how he feels as though his path to success has ultimately been spiritually guided. But as he continues to go forward, man, he continues to go back and try to help people who aren't as lucky as he is, and that ultimately helps him understand the truth that no matter how rich and famous you are and all that, man, you were still a victim of white supremacy. And he spits this in one pretty dope bar, man, pretty much saying how, okay, you get arrested and all that, then you ultimately become property. Therefore, this whole game, he can see it as a game of Monopoly. Like, that was dope. While J. Cole had some moments in there as well, especially with his Tigers wordplay and such, dude. That was cool, but again, it just didn't pan out as greatly as it should have. And then American Idol, which was the outro, and it was ultimately his last statements, and I feel as though the way he dragged this one out and such, it kind of messed it up. Like, it could have been a really great song, but yet he had a lot of things that he wanted to sum up and do. But in the end, man, a lot of great messages, man, a lot of really dope bars, some really good songs on here, dude. I'm giving this one a 8.5 out of 10, one that you definitely need to go out there and buy when it does drop on the 7th, I do believe. But this concludes today's review, man, and now we're going to jump into a brief instrumental from underground producer Mo Brown Beats before we jump into the news, and then jump into an article from downloadpads.com.
Brown Beats.
So have you guys seen that Kanye West's The Life of Pablo went platinum, just being a streamed project and such, man? Which this is the first project to ever have done that. You have to understand how many people had to stream this in order for it to go platinum, dude. Because in order to get one certified unit sold and such, man, you have to have 1,500 streams. So therefore, do the math. He had to get 1 million times 1,500, and he got that throughout all of the streaming services, not just Tidal, but also Apple Music and Spotify and all that. But anyway, on to today's article from downloadpads.com, and today's article is about time-wasting trolls, because there is nothing worse in the world than a time-wasting troll, man. And honestly, I just don't get it, because a lot of these time-wasting trolls that I come across are ultimately rappers, people who's claiming they're going to be successful in the game and all of that stuff, man. And honestly, if you feel that way, you should not have the time to sit up for days on end trying to argue with somebody who's not trying to argue with you. Like, honestly, I straight up ignore these dudes, but yet they send me messages after messages after messages because they're upset about whatever review. See, I got more important things to do, and you should too if you're claiming that you're going to do something in this game, you did. But you're ultimately showing that by being a time-wasting troll, you got nothing else to do but to try to argue with somebody, dude. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow me at Twitter up there, and you can go to downloadpads.com, that's down there, to read today's article.